All my growing up years, I was told to simply shut up. My mum would tell me, baby. Yes, I was called baby. I still am called baby. Most moms would know this. It's something that never goes away. And she told me, shh, still waters run deep. Don't talk too much. In school, I got into trouble because of this, because all the prefects would come and say, Malli, why are you talking, huh? Next time around, I'll put you on the form. Not that I understood what on the form meant, but I knew it was bad. I thought this would change when I came to work, but then my bosses came up to me and said, are you getting any work done? Because all I can see you doing is talking. Can you talk less and work more? And I then became a leadership trainer. And I loved it. I could talk all day. Nobody could tell me to shut up. And best of all, I got paid doing it. The bubble burst when one of my key clients came and asked me this very, very poignant question. She asked me, look, Vidusha, for all the talking you do, can you honestly profess that you can train a person into being a leader? Penny dropped. All the fancy slides I do, everything I worked really hard to do, all the examples, brilliant jokes, just went out. Out the window, back to the drawing board. Because the truth of it was, for all the talking I do, I could never transform a person into being a leader. And that hurt. Because this was my profession. What was expected of me was not to talk about leadership, but to make leaders. The inspiration for this, what became a solution, came because of my daughter, all of 7 years old. She came and told me, look, Apache, a couple of my friends are bullying me. So I asked her, what are they telling you, And she turned around and said, I've been called a dumbass. So I said, well, what do you expect? You're my daughter. I don't think she was amused. If she turned out to be brilliant in mathematics and sciences, I would honestly have a paternity test done, But then my wife came and told me, look, apart from the jokes, you better take this seriously because, she needs to get better at her studies. And my daughter fervently nodded her head, yeah, I need to get 80s. Now, this is a bit of a problem, when you get relatively low marks, your daughter doing better than you is rather scary. And truth be told, even if I wanted to teach her, when she comes to me with the books, I would generally turn around and say, that was not in the syllabus during my time. They've changed all the syllabuses. But I soon realized that there was nothing I could do in teaching her about the subjects, but the true test of it was for her to find her own inner confidence, for her to be able to find that little inner voice in herself to say, you can do this, you got this, don't worry about it. So I took her whitewater rafting. Our moms got kicked out of home for taking her whitewater rafting. All of 7 years old, and I told her, shh, don't tell your mother. Soon as she came through the doors, I went whitewater rafting. There went my dinner that day. But I soon realized that doing all of this meant that she was finding her inner strength. That every little activity added up. And the marks, that sorted itself out. Now, the issue with leadership training is that the entire process is flawed. We have people who come into a program and most of them don't want to be there. I always ask audiences, how many of you really want to learn leadership? No hands go up. Why are you here? They said that the lunch was really good. Imagine my plight. So we asked ourselves, can we change this? And the answer was yes, you can. We challenged people to study over 100 pages, 10 subjects by themselves. Watch over 100 videos. At the end of a 2-month period, you had to go and make sure that you had to sit for an exam, get 60 marks out of 100 to walk into the workshop in the first place. Clients were petrified. They turned around and asked, are you serious? These guys are going to go study by themselves whilst working? We said, well, if people are really interested, they would. Saving grace was a young man by the name of Ajit. I'm always inspired by people like this. He couldn't speak a word of English when he came for the workshop. And we asked him, how did you do this? Did you copy? That's something that we know we are quite good at. You didn't look at the person next to you. No. So what did you do? What he did was to go to a sworn translator and get all of the content that was purely in English translated. Mind you, 100 plus videos translated into Sinhala. He barely got 60 marks to come for the workshop. Ajit today is a HR manager in one of the leading companies in Sri Lanka, and he was not even an executive when he joined the business. We also asked ourselves, can we do something different about the program itself, rather than talking down on people and spewing out theories? See, leadership is understood here, but actually felt here. You feel leadership. You need to internalize leadership. If leadership can be done in 2 days, well, don't you think we'll run a program for the Sri Lankan Parliament? The entire fraternity would do it for free. And we'll all be better for it. Because we'll have a fantastic set of leaders. Not that I'm saying we don't have any now, but ever so often you hear about a few people who forget certain things. So what can we do in our programs that actually can be different? We drew inspiration from a lot of thematic areas. Here's a few examples. I used to be always backstage. Being on stage petrifies me. In fact, at one of the theatre productions that college did, I was in charge of drawing the curtain. Unfortunately for me, there was a really good-looking girl right in the front seats. I forgot all about the drama. And the people backstage, Machang, Machang, curtain, curtain. And I still wasn't hearing anything because I was staring right at her. And eventually somebody shouted, Oi! Curtain neka, curtain neka. And that was the end of the production altogether. So drawing this little inspiration from theatre, we asked ourselves, can we get people to do something with theatre? Here's what we did. On the second day of a program, we challenged people who barely know each other when they come for the program to do a drama. They have to write a script, they have to rehearse it, they have to find the props, they have to find the costumes, they have to do the makeup, do all of this, plus bring 50 people as the audience, all within 4 hours. Sounds impossible, right? But every single batch aces it. We brought Jananath Varakagoda and told him to play some drums. And then we invite the participants to play drums in 1 hour, 2 beats, and an ensemble performance. They look at us as if though we are absolutely stark raving mad, but they ace it in 1 hour. At the end of it all, we ask them, what did you learn? And their insights are brilliant. Most of them tell us, we learned that leadership is not a singular activity. It's something that is collective. We learned that our inner confidence matters. We learned that we can do absolutely anything that we set our minds to. Now that is feeling leadership. At the end of the programs, we tell participants, go do something with your learning. Generally, after a program, all you have is a questionnaire that you get signed off and ticked off, and hopefully, you will get good results. Nothing more. Here, we have young men and women going out and doing amazing things. There was a young gentleman who said, look, there are car parks. It's doing nothing. Let me make some money out of it. And you know what he did? He brought in bidders and made sure that it was sold to hoarding companies. Almost all of the car parks of a leading supermarket was sold off, collecting a whopping 20 million rupees, all within a span of 2 months. Imagine our surprise when a young lady turned up, all of 24 years old, and said, we have too many meetings. You can relate to that, right? Far too many meetings. People talk, nothing happens. What did they do? Well, they got together, planned a few things around, looked at and understood why it was taking so long, and then put it right. And she led that initiative, and she was the youngest person in the meeting. For the assessment that we conduct after the program, her entire planning department turned up. And they said, look, this may not have any financial gain, but we don't come to work on Saturdays at all now, thanks to her. So finally, after leadership programs, we had an opportunity to prove that there was tangible ROI after training, as well as the absolute possibility of transforming people into leaders. Now, is all of this our brilliance? Is it the program that transforms people? Of course not. I wish that was the case. But this was truly getting everyone involved in the leadership process. Leadership is a collective exercise. So is developing leaders. There were managers and senior managers who didn't come back and turn around and tell young participants after a program, "Me pandidek wenna to nikang innawada." Or a young executive who went out there who was too scared to try out something new. Here were a bunch of managers who were totally supporting that initiative. Of course, the participants themselves realize their potential and do brilliantly well, because all the inhibitors are taken out. And of course, we play a little role in putting all of this together and managing that space and managing that process. It's about time we rethought leadership development programs. Here's what I learned. I genuinely learned that we can't teach leadership. I genuinely realized that people were far more capable than we give them credit for. I also realized that every single human being out there doesn't want to fail. Every single one wants to be a success, but they just don't have the space to. I realized that our role is not to teach about leadership. I realized that our role is to facilitate the learning of leadership, but very importantly, transforming them into being true leaders. You know, one of my great mentors, a gentleman sitting right there, said something that struck my heart really deep. He told me look, Vidusha, if your children don't become better than you, you have fathered in vain. And I mulled over this for many moons. And I think the same is true for my trade. If we do not make our participants do more and be more than us, then we have taught in vain. Thank you.